Welcome to the Professionals of the Inland Empire Show with your host, John Tulac.
Welcome to the inaugural edition of Professionals of the Inland Empire, affectionately known as PI. I'm John Tulac, an international business attorney located in Claremont. I'm going to be interviewing some of the top professionals in a variety of fields in the Inland Empire over the course of this podcast series. We're going to be talking about what these professionals do and how they do it that makes them outstanding. We'll also show how these very talented local professionals can help you and your business grow and thrive, and in doing so, further contribute to the economic development and growth of the Inland Empire. I'm sure you've heard of the phrase, a rising tide raises all boats. So you're probably wondering who I am and why I'm doing this. I've been a lawyer since 1977. As a young attorney, I was part of the explosion of growth in Orange County in the late 70s and the early 80s. That's when Orange County essentially declared independence from Los Angeles County. Local businesses and government agencies started using local talent for professional work and said, in essence, to LA professionals, if you want to keep our business, you need to be coming down here, setting up and being part of Orange County. The firm I was with set up a satellite firm in Newport Beach, and I was part of that for 2 years. The firm decided to close that office. I decided to stay. The entire rest of the people down there decided to stay with me, and I had an instant new law firm, and I never looked back. I've lived and worked in Claremont now for almost 30 years. So what do I want to accomplish out of this podcast? I want to help facilitate growth in the Inland Empire. I want our government people and our business owners to know and understand how many good professionals there are right here in our own backyard who can help achieve that growth and help your businesses do a whole lot better. And we're going to start today with two of my favorite long-term business colleagues and friends, Lou Desmond and Tim Kolacz. So why start with them? Well, Lou Desmond is with Desmond Lewis, and he is also a radio host of the Lou Desmond Company Show on KMET 1490 AM, which you can hear Monday to Friday at 5 p.m. I'm a regular guest every Thursday along with economist Jay Pragg from the Drucker School of Management at the Claremont Graduate University. And also with us today is Tim Kolacz with Hub International. That's a big insurance outfit that can find any kind of insurance for any kind of need that you have. And Tim is also now a radio host. He's got Soccer at 60 on Thursdays at 4, and he'll be talking about his role with the Inland Empire Strikers. So gentlemen, welcome to the inaugural episode of Pie. Great to have you here.
Looking forward to having a big bite.
Thank you for having a big bite out of that pie.
Thanks, John. We appreciate you being here.
So Lou, I want to start with you first. Tell me a little bit about your marketing and PR firm and the crisis communication work that you do and how that led to this work currently in training police folk in the Inland Empire.
So I have a story very similar to yours in that I was working in Orange County at the Orange County office of Porter Novelli, and about a third of the clients of that office were actually in the Empire region. San Bernardino, Riverside counties. And I remember that the staff there used to refer to the people of the Inland Empire as the dirt people. And they would make jokes about not wanting to have any clients in the Inland Empire because there's nowhere to eat out there and nobody knows how to dress and the clients are boobs. And I didn't know anything about the Inland Empire. I was from the Bay Area, far northern California. I found the people in the Inland Empire to be much more to my liking than the people in Orange County, quite honestly. They're more down to earth. I think they're more honest. They're not as nearly as pretentious. Not to disparage everybody that lives in Orange County, but there's a certain Orange County thing. And being, a kid from the sticks, being country, having a ranching family, driving a pickup truck in Orange County, and listening to country music, I found more kinship with the people in the IE, which is why after a stint at Porter Novelli in Orange County, I left and I was fortunate enough to work in-house for a large real estate development company in the Empire region, the owner of that company introduced me to everybody who mattered in politics. He was building everywhere in the region. also up in Sacramento, even DC, because I was his communications director at the age of 30. And then when I decided I had enough doing that type of work, I'd always wanted to start my own firm. And to me, with only a handful of firms in the Inland Empire and dozens and dozens and dozens in Orange County and hundreds in LA, it made all the sense in the world to open my shop in the Empire region. And there was plenty of business to be had and not enough people doing it. Especially at the time, there were only two major firms that were located in the region. And I don't think there are that many real firms now. I know there are a lot of retired journalists that are now PR people, but I don't really count them as like full service PR firms. So that's how I got here, and I'm glad to be here.
Super. So what's your origin story to the Inland Empire, Tim?
Yeah, so one of the things that I started out is, like most people in life, they do one thing. They do marketing and website development for 9 years. You realize that you're making about $9 an hour, and you want to go do something else. And so I started my insurance career at Liberty Mutual, and then about 3 years in, Hub International came in and bought up the renewal rights to Liberty Mutual direct writer business. And I started working for what had been Talbot Insurance Agency right there in downtown Riverside. And so when I joined Hub was kind of the new guy on the block. Nobody had really heard about him. And the acquisition that Hub made of me and about 70 other people from the Mississippi westward, they basically doubled the size of Talbot Insurance, now Hub International. And since then, it's been full speed ahead. And I've worked for the Riverside office pretty much the entire time, with the brief 3-year stint where I actually did report in to my boss in the Newport Beach office. But I always kept in contact with Jim Jesser and the whole crew out in the Riverside office. And now we're located right off the 91, and everybody drives by us every day on the Riverside Freeway as you creep along. And so I've worked in the Inland Empire for the past basically 16 years since I started at Hub, and it's been great. I got tons of clients out there. And to kind of play off of Lou a little bit, there is a lot of similarity between me and the people of the Inland Empire. I've always been one to roll up my sleeves, get dirty, get to work. And I have probably, 60, 70% of my clients are in the Inland Empire now.
And to one of the other points that Lou made, comparing and contrasting with Orange County, I know you know where every good place to eat is out here. And there are quite a few from your.
Well, I am a foodie, John, and when we get together and we have meetings, it's all about the food, because you got to have a good meal with good people.
By the way, John, so speaking of food, and you asked me about the training for the San Bernardino Police Department that I was doing last week. You guys, you got to check out. There's a new ramen place in San Bernardino in a strip mall that doesn't look like much from the outside. It is brilliant. It is so good. The best bowl of ramen I've ever had in my life, and they're also huge and only like $10.99 to $12.99.
Let's go.
Oh, it's fantastic.
That sounds really yummy. And you've just given me, obviously, an idea for every other episode we're going to do. You all got to give your favorite food spot at the moment. We'll just start making a list.
Yeah, absolutely. There are plenty of places to eat in the Inland Empire, especially if you like Mexican food. There's a lot of great Mexican food places and a lot of choices. Something I want to bring up is, you had mentioned the radio show, but what you didn't mention at the top is IE Business Daily. And the reason why that exists, iebusinessdaily.com, which has become the business journal of record for the Empire region. 60, 70,000 hits. We publish new business-related news stories every day. The business press, which was operated by the press enterprise, folded about a year after the real estate meltdown. And suddenly there was no business journal covering this entire region both of the two largest contiguous counties in the United States had no business journal. And so I tried to negotiate a purchase of the name. They wouldn't sell it. And I said, okay, screw it. I'm going to go hire the former real estate editor who I knew, who did the real estate work there and also for the Press Enterprise. And I hired him, and he brought in a couple of staffers, and we bootstrapped, and I paid for out of my pocket the launch of iebusinessdaily.com. Well, that's going on almost 15 years, something like that. That has now been in existence, and it I think is vital to have somewhere where you can go get business news. There are no business pages in the newspapers anymore. So if the region had been without a business journal, there would be nowhere to read business news, Tim. Where would you go? Right?
Yeah. Well, I was just having a conversation. It's funny you bring that up, and not to cut you off at the knees, John, but I'm going to do it anyways. A buddy of mine, Josh Donnelly, who has just started his own M&A firm, was up in Sacramento and just happened to be at the Berkshire Hathaway meeting where Warren Buffett announced his retirement. He wanted to go to the newspaper, go in and get an article that showcased it because he had his ticket and he wanted the ticket along with the headline saying Warren Buffett retires. The Sacramento Bee does not have a business section.
No, nope.
At all.
Almost no mid-major newspaper in the United States has a business section anymore.
It's brutal.
They're gone.
The Los Angeles Times barely has business coverage today. I mean, it's sad what's happened to that paper over the last few years in terms of decline of the number of pages and the quality of the writing and so on. I mean, I've been a subscriber since college. So,
That's one of the things that I cover in these classes that I do for law enforcement agencies, which is really, I have a long background in crisis communications, which started because I worked for a large international restaurant and entertainment chain. And I had the opportunity to work on all kinds of bizarre crisis communications problems. Bar fights, food poisoning, managers, playing, hide the what's it with waitresses. I mean, all kinds of things that I had to deal with and keep out of the newspapers or get out of the newspapers. And that's a lot of what I teach law enforcement is crisis communications issues. But also one of them at the very beginning of the class, the first module of the day is you need to know the media. And I go through the devolution of the media from where it was to where it is now, where there's no standard, there's immediate deadlines, there's no time to do anything. If it bleeds, it leads on steroids, and the absolute destruction that has taken place of the media because of the choices that they made. Now, I'm not going to go into the weeds on this, but that's one of the things I do, and it's been really revitalizing to my career is, John, Tim, you get to a certain point, you've been doing something for a very long time, and you're kind of looking for a new challenge. What's gonna juice me, get me out of bed? What's something new? What's a challenge I can tackle? And I know for you, we'll talk about the radio program Soccer in 60, but for me, teaching these law enforcement agencies how to protect their reputations and do their communications better, especially in the light of how the coverage of law enforcement has been now for the last decade or so. I love being around law enforcement people. They're fantastic. I teach other first responders too, and it's just been a joy. It's been a great thing for me in terms of feel like I'm giving something back and I'm really helping people with the knowledge that I've acquired over the years.
Well, I think it's a vital service. And I'm really, really happy to hear that you've broken through the doors here in the Inland Empire to be providing these courses to our local law enforcement agencies. I know you've been doing it up in the Northwest. So I would view that as a significant development. And the importance of crisis communication cannot be overstated. When something goes wrong, the media still knows how to descend in a frenzy. And if you don't know what to say and how to say it, you can make a bad situation so much worse. I actually fired a teacher who spoke out of turn, crisis at a school. And I warned everybody, nobody talks to the media, nobody. And this guy did. And I said, and I did warn everybody, if you do that, I don't care how good you are, I don't care how long you've been here, you're gone. And
rule number one of Lou
bad thing
Desmond's
to do.
rule number one of Lou Desmond's personal crisis communications work that I developed over the years. It's really simple. STF up. So that it's number one, and it's always shocking to people when I put that on the board. But it's kind of like General Patton says, when it's really important, I give them to them hard and dirty, and they'll remember it. Because that's the most important thing in crisis communications. Rule number one: shut up. And it's also rule number 3 because it's so important that I put it on the list twice, Tim.
It's rule number 1 for lawyers too, particularly in court. If you're winning, sit down and shut up.
There you go.
Yeah. Don't grab defeat from the mouth of victory.
Exactly. So Tim, talk to us about your show.
Yeah, so one of the cool things about the Inland Empire that we're really driving on the show, which is called Soccer in 60, it's on KMET 1490. It's the lead-in to Lou's show on Thursday afternoons. And there is some breaking developments on this that you start listening to the show, you'll get the goods over the next 6 to 7 weeks on this. But one of the neat things about it is that it covers the Empire Strikers, which is the indoor soccer team in Ontario that plays right at Toyota Arena. They play in a ridiculously fabulous arena. It is the second best arena that the Major Arena Soccer League plays in. It's only a close second to the new facility down in Oceanside where the San Diego Sockers play. But what is great about this facility, it is a world-class facility. It's where the Ontario Reign play, which is the feeder team to the LA Kings. You want to see some great minor league hockey, like seriously, it's second level NHL stuff. And the Ontario Reign have always had a great team. And the show discusses all the local professional teams here in not only Los Angeles, and they talk about the Orange County Soccer Club, but the focus really is the Empire Strikers. And the show is put on, the reason why it exists is because of Jeff Burham. Jeff Burham owns the team and is president and CEO of the league. And he has been instrumental in getting the Empire Strikers to be not quite a household name. But when you put over 7,500 people into the final game of the season at Ontario, at the Toyota Arena right there on Inland Empire Boulevard, the fact of the matter is 7,500 people have not gone and seen an indoor soccer game since the mid-'80s, when it was getting ratings similar to high-end, playoff NBA games, to low-level NFL games. That's what indoor soccer used to be. And Jeff Burham and the league are looking to get that back to that level where there's going to be 10,000 people in the arena every night. And it's unbelievable. It is the greatest deal in all of professional sports. For a family of 4 can go in, get tickets, burger, dog, a beer for less than $100. Most of the time, tickets are like $10 a game.
Tim, if I was in economic development in the region, which is the people that try to attract businesses, there were certain bucket list things. And on that list for companies looking for new locations was, what's the entertainment options in the region? And having a facility like the Toyota Arena that books major concerts that come from all over the world, and then having the highest level professional soccer team, that the next step, the next evolution of that is going to be an NBA team. It's going to be, a hockey team. As the area matures, now think about this. LA was the place, and then now Orange County has the Ducks. Orange County has the Angels. Orange County has major entertainment venues. Now, Orange County has the ocean. That's true. But there are regions that don't have the ocean or don't have a lake that have, say, major resort hotels. See Palm Springs, right? I don't think there's an ocean or a lake or there. If I have, I've missed it. But so like the huge extension of the convention center in Ontario and bringing in the 5-star luxury hotel resort that they're talking about building, and that is a Jeff Byrne project as well, is the kind of thing that you need for a region to mature economically. But the other thing that this has been a pet peeve of mine for decades. The Inland Empire government and large businesses need to stop hiring consultants from LA and Orange County.
Right.
There are plenty of people in the inland region that are professionals at the highest level. Attorneys.
Well, and government needs to do it too, because we were at the economic conference a year ago, Lou. You and I were there.
Right.
I was the MC of it. And one of the San Bernardino council people that was part of the economic development group lived in Pasadena. How do you
even worse than that? I was on an ad hoc committee for getting foreign direct investment into the IE a few years ago, and the city of San Bernardino hired a consultant from Minneapolis who came out here with no knowledge whatsoever of the Inland Empire, no feel, no prior contacts, and was clueless the whole time. He's a smart guy. He was a nice guy, but why in the world would you go 2,000 miles away to bring in a consultant who knows nothing about the region? And all they could think about is, well, let's go ask the Chinese. Well, right down the street was someone from the Mexican embassy in Los Angeles. So it's literally a small consulate office. His job was to help bring Mexican money into San Bernardino, and no one ever went and talked to him. He's like the loneliest guy in government service, any government service in San Bernardino. He's a great guy, but nobody knew he was there, and nobody reached out to him. These are self-inflicted mistakes. And we have to find a way to be persuasive, in my view, to get over those kinds of things where, for whatever the good intention might be, our government folks are getting their own way of accomplishing things more effectively.
I used to pitch a lot of government business. I did a lot of economic development work. I did a lot of workforce development work. And we would pick up the odd contract here or there, but the big ones, the $500,000, $1 million, $1.5 million over 3 years kind of contracts, those never went to a local firm. And I would explain to these people at these government agencies or ad hoc things, and I would say, look, I was VP of Media Relations at the largest PR office in Orange County when I was 30. Okay? I own this firm. You're going to pay half the hourly rate that you are, or less, by hiring us. And we're going to be local, and we're going to be responsive. But just as important, you give me this contract, I'm hiring 2 people. You're creating economic impact in a positive way. Every time you buy something from a company that does it in the Inland Empire, every time you hire a service provider that does it in the Empire, then you are causing economic growth in the Empire region. And every time, especially government, goes out and pays somebody $500,000 to do a survey, and they're in Newport Beach, that's $500,000 you just stole from your own community, Tim.
Yeah. And it doesn't make sense when you hire somebody in Riverside, in Ontario, in Corona. you're developing the very place that you want to be. So it only makes sense that you hire that local person that's got the understanding of the region. The funny thing about San Diego is they refuse to do business with anybody from Orange County, especially LA.
And
So
that's
it's hyper
smart.
regionalized,
Yeah.
right? They don't mind that you come from maybe Riverside or Fallbrook or something like that, just outside the San Diego zone. But the reality is they're not hiring anybody from there. And if the agencies, the companies, the businesses in the empire start to do that, you're going to make a dramatic change in 18 months. It'll be an immediate change. It won't be, oh, we'll do this in 5 years down the road and we'll grow. No, you start doing it today, you will see the population of the empire grow exponentially because it's still affordable in the empire to live.
Exactly.
You can still go to the local farmer's market and not pay whole paycheck prices at a farmer's market like you have to some places in Orange County. You can go to the farmer's market right down in downtown Riverside in the mornings, one day a week, and the food is great. And it's a farmer's market. You know why? Because it's coming from a farm that's less than 5 miles away. I go there twice a month. It's amazing.
Buying local it starts with groceries. It makes sense to me. I do want to mention, as we're getting close to the end of our time together with this first episode, is that I don't know how you can forget that we have a world-class UC at UC Riverside.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 state universities. Cal Poly Pomona is one of the 2 top universities in the Cal State system. And Cal State San Bernardino has done very, very well in improving its position over the last few years, including have an entrepreneurship school that has gotten a lot of recognition. I hope that they'll be
Mike Stull.
show.
Mike Stull has done a great job there, Center for Entrepreneurship.
Super job.
And but John, what happens to all the graduates?
Well, here's the thing. The Cal Poly students tend to get jobs within a 50-mile radius of Cal Poly. So we have a lot of Cal Poly talent located right here in the Inland Empire. We also have the Claremont colleges, which are among the finest colleges in
Redlands.
the world. And we have Redlands. I don't want to forget Redlands. They have outstanding programs as well. So our
and then there's the Christian University over in Riverside.
Yep.
Cal Baptist.
Cal Baptist. Nearby.
Right.
Plenty of local talent that has been locally trained as well in terms of getting education.
Yeah, and there's tons of trade school work too. There's tons of trade, and I think the trade work that the education that you can get in the empire for a trade school is incredible too.
I have had the amazing good fortune to both hire and fire a lot of people. And I never fired anybody that didn't deserve it. And I'll tell you the truth, and I always do. And you know how blunt I am, guys. So I never regretted firing anybody. I always regretted I fired them too late.
But understandable.
But hiring was such a joy for me, such a high. And I wish I would have gotten more of those government contracts and more of these big business contracts, because I would have hired more young people and they would have had the opportunity to learn the business. And you know what? They always worked for me through their 20s and early 30s. And then bigger opportunities came knocking. And they had the chance to learn, to get better at something and move on. And good for them. I wish I could have done more of it. I'm still looking forward to doing more of it.
Super. I want to provide a little preview of coming attractions about this PI podcast. One of the things that I found remarkable, it's transformative for me and my practice, was in 2012, I joined a professional networking group called Provisors. It is the premier national networking organization. It is by invitation only, and it is for professionals. It is not like a chamber of commerce. So you're looking at attorneys and accountants and insurance people, bankers, marketing, and other business consultants. And I joined it because I have a global reputation. I was known all over the place, all over the world, and I wasn't known in my own backyard. And I thought this would be a way to do it. Well, what happened after I renewed my membership the first year? Why did I do it? It wasn't because I was getting business. What I was really getting out of it was I enjoyed getting together with fellow professionals who are not all lawyers and who I truly enjoyed being around. I learned something from every meeting. I was surrounded by smart, interesting people. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We have 110 members of provisors in the Inland Empire. It is my goal on this podcast to have on the shows every single one of them so you can learn who they are and what they can do for you. I'm John Tulac. I'm an international business attorney. I am very grateful that Tim Kolacz and Lou Desmond joined me today to kick off this inaugural episode of Professionals of the Inland Empire. You couldn't ask for better guys and better people to provide service to you. So we'll see you next time. For now, goodbye.
Thanks for watching or listening to, depending on the case, the Professionals of the Inland Empire Show with your host, John W. Tulac. If you have a suggestion for a guest, email him at jwtulac, that's JWTULAC @gmail.com. jwtulac @gmail.com.